teacher originally. I've come up here to assist in the work of the master craftsman Malcolm Lemmon in building this wooden chalet. There's not much of it yet, but that's my job to get involved with, obviously. So the area that we're working in is quite a special spot to be working in construction. It's quite unique in that respect. It's quite a kind of open area, unlike most of the jobs that I've worked in the past. And I've come here really to progress my skills in woodworking and specifically in eco-construction, and to learn from a master. So the biggest thing that really attracted me to coming and working with Malcolm is the fact that he is an environmentally conscious builder. Like normal conventional construction, where you would go to a builder's yard and get the materials, and there is a big disconnection between the supplier and the user. Here we're using materials that are sourced really very locally to the site that we're working at. So, for example, the big tree up here behind me with the pine cones is called a larch tree. And in the coming weeks, this tree will be felled, and then we will process the wood from the tree and use it directly on the building site. By doing this, we can build a better relationship with the material that we're using, and we can make sure that the source of the material is a sustainable one, rather than going through these big, long, disconnected supply routes, which is usually involved with normal construction. So the ecological sound stewardship element of the material is very clear and obvious when we work in this way. It's also a more pleasant material to work with as well, rather than conventional kiln drying materials, which are often produced under very energy intensive methods, which are kind of very detrimental to the environment. So just to demonstrate just how close our source material is to the construction site, maybe we could walk over. So we'll be felling the wood just there, and then processing it and taking it up here through the woodwork up to the construction site, just up here. So, the great thing about sourcing the material locally is that we can use all our own supply chain as well, which is good, which involves using horses to log the timber up. So because it's so close, it's a very efficient distance to use with the horse to log up the material. It can all be taken up here with the horse and turned into the usable wood which will be used for the chalet. So when we've cut up the timber that we're going to be using on site, we, as I said, bring it to the site, and then we're actually going to very roughly hew the wood into the size and shape that we need it to be. And when we've done that, we then cut it down into sizable posts, about this height, roughly. And then those posts then sit on these foundation pads, which means that we have the floor of the building raised up to a certain height, roughly around here, where my hand is showing here. And in between the foundation stone and the bottom of the post, there will be a threaded rod, which will connect in. And the great thing about using this foundation method is that we can be very conservative about how many materials we use. Instead of covering this whole site with one big foundation, we can use these smaller pads and use less materials but more effectively, and so make it more of a sustainable project. I think possibly the biggest distinction between working in this way, in this kind of sustainable, environmentally conscious construction method, for me, on a personal level, is the connection between craftsman and material. From my previous experience of working in construction, I've often used man-made materials, which are quite unpleasant to work with, and at times can also be hazardous to the health of the user, or the person that is working with it, the builder or the craftsman. So with the materials that we're using, there is a direct connection between craftsman and material, which makes it a lot more pleasurable, as I said. And in my opinion, if it's more pleasurable to work with these more environmentally sound materials, the end result is a lot better, in my opinion, because you enjoy using the material rather than not so much enjoying it if it is man-made, say plywood or something like that. So by enjoying working with the materials you work with, I believe produces a far more fine and better quality finished product. And for me, that is the biggest incentive, as well as, of course, the environmental benefits of using these more ecologically sound materials to working with these materials. Yeah.